Do we have any kind of Christmas thing we can put up here? I was just wondering if there's any way to decorate my set at Christmas. I got this right here, but it won't. It doesn't last. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
But that you can't put that there.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
It's green, got that green in it.
And cover you up too.
But I'll put you some lights and stuff on you.
All right. I got. You know what? I got some of these little lights. They're just 25 to a string.
I got some that I can put around you and all.
Right, okay. I like your mustache for it. Looks good.
Look, I gotta get rid of it. My wife wanted it. I said, okay, I'll do it.
It's in trouble, probably. Isn't it?
Nah, I just keep the dead hair on my face.
I'm the same way. on South Grundy Street in Troy, Alabama, and I hope you're doing well this morning. It is quite chilly out there, and of course it's going to be chilly, continuing to be chilly because it's going to rain later on today, and it's going to make it a lot colder out there.
I'm just glad we weren't in Buffalo last night. If you watched Monday Night Football,
boy, that was something.
I would have lasted about 1 minute, and I would have said, "Get me out of here as fast as you can."
You could tell that young man from Jacksonville, Florida, Mac Jones, didn't like it, and we were talking this morning. I think he passed the ball 3 times, completed 2, and the rest of the time they just ran the ball, and his team won 14-10.
It was. I didn't watch much of it, but I saw that it was 33 degrees, but wind gust up to 50 miles an hour, and the wind chill was, they said 25. It had to be colder than that.
But Buffalo, New York's got to be one of the coldest places in the country. In fact, I know for a fact that Buffalo and I want to say maybe Rochester, it snows more there than any other place in America.
I've heard that too. Have you been to Buffalo before?
Yeah, I've been to Buffalo. Went up there to see Troy play Niagara in the
You've seen Niagara Falls?
Yes, sir. Saw it, and then when I left, I said I don't really have to see it again. I've seen it.
You've seen the Grand Canyon too, haven't you?
Oh yeah, several times, more than once.
You've lived a wonderful life.
Well, you know, thanks to a guy named Johnny Williams. Johnny, every time he'd go somewhere, I'd go with him.
Well, I've been on a lot of good trips because of you. You've taken me.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to need somebody to drive for me, and you'd be a perfect choice.
Well, I've never been to Buffalo, and I've never been to the Grand Canyon.
I'm not saying I'll go back to those places, but
well, you don't need to. You've seen
I stand a pretty good chance to go back to Las Vegas, and when you're flying into Las Vegas, they say over to your right is the Grand Canyon.
Oh man!
But it's Christmas time, and Merry Christmas to all out there.
You said you looked at it for about 15 minutes. And you said that's enough. I've seen it.
That's very much the same way with the Grand Canyon. I think I looked at it for about 15 minutes, and I said, "Johnny, you ready to go?" We were staying in let's see, where was it? In Salt Lake City. We drove over from Salt Lake City, which was about a 3-hour drive.
That's where the Great Lakes. Isn't there some famous lake in Salt Lake City?
It's the Salt Lake, and it's not much to it. It's an ugly lake. It doesn't have anybody swimming, and doesn't have anybody boating in there.
Because it's salt in the lake.
Can you believe that Cristobal now is going to take the Miami job away from Diaz?
The mayor's
Mario Cristobal. The road has always led back to Miami once again. He's coming back home. Cristobal is leaving Oregon and returning to Miami, accepting an offer to become the head football coach at his alma mater, where he won 2 national championships as a player. He let the Ducks know his decision Monday, and his team meeting in Oregon nearby simultaneously. The other part, the move to Miami, announcing the firing of Coach Manny Diaz after 3 seasons. And as you said, Manny Diaz is the son of the mayor of Miami. So I imagine they're not going to get very good response from the mayor.
From City Hall.
Yeah. But it is a great time to be alive, and of course we were rained out last night at the Christmas parade. The annual Christmas parade was supposed to be last night, but they're going to move it back till next Monday night. So next Monday night will be the time that you'll want to come downtown Troy, and enjoy all the festivities of Christmas, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Hey, tell us about the press conference introducing our new football coaches.
Well, it's about as impressive as you could get, I'm telling you. I don't know if any coach anywhere has received the reception that he has received. We're talking about John Summerall, the new head football coach at Troy, And Coach, if you're watching this morning, again, after many, many times, congratulations and welcome back to Troy. Your beautiful, beautiful family. He's married to a young lady he met in Huntsville, and they have 4 beautiful children, 1 boy and 3 girls, and those the prettiest little girls you'll find anywhere. And he is the outstanding recipient of the football to lead Troy back to the.
He's got the keys to the
glamour
car.
days. No, yeah. Summerall replaces Chip Lindsey, who was fired with 1 game remaining in the season. Lindsey went 15-9 and failed to make a bowl game during his time with the Trojans. And one little thing I'd like to add to that, he had a possible bowl bid if Troy would have played Louisiana Monroe at the last game of the season, but they had the
yeah, that's right.
the
COVID
COVID chancellor.
So he might have had 1 game.
And he would have. He
probably would have won that game.
We probably would have won it, and we probably would have gone to a bowl. Good morning, you on Today in L.A.
Good morning.
Where are you calling from, sir?
The Panhandle, Florida, Great Beach, Florida.
Oh, you're down there. You must be from the north. Is that right? Are you from the north?
Are you a snowbird?
I'm in South Auburn.
Yeah. Well, are you near any good restaurants? Are you near the water?
Yeah. I'm pretty close to the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah. Do you come down there much from New York? Do you fly down much?
Well, he does a lot of. I've talked to him before, Mike. He does a lot of scuba diving, and he likes to find sunken pirate ships and then dive and see if he can find some treasure.
I'm a professional shell collector.
All right. Let me ask you this, sir. Are there any good restaurants where you're staying?
There's a few. One of my favorites is this place called Virago, but they've been closed for the last 2 weeks.
Why is that?
Everybody's closed for the December break. There's a lot of restaurants that take off the first couple of weeks of December, so it's always not fun for somebody like me that's a wine expert salesman.
Well, they'll be back in full force before Christmas, won't they?
Yeah. Most of them will be back up around the 16th, 17th, and then Cafe 38 actually will not be open until the day after Christmas. They'll be closed almost the whole month of December.
Now, exactly where is Cafe 38?
It's on 38.
That's not.
Probably about less than I don't know, probably half a mile from Seaside.
Yeah. And of course, one other place.
That is the restaurant that was started by, is it Harriet or Cat that started that restaurant?
Cat and Harry's?
Harriet. It's Cat, she is the famous Harriet from Cat and Harry's.
That's right.
In Montgomery, which was a landmark institution in Montgomery for many years.
Sure
you
was.
probably remember it.
It was
you probably went there many times.
It was considered the water hole of Montgomery.
It was neat because it had, lobbyists, politicians, and then college kids, people just out of college. That's where Rush met Marty. I used to go to Cat and Harry's, but she sold it for a lot of money, started it when she was down and out, hardly had any money, it was a great success story, and then she went down to where Michael lives and started a restaurant and seems to have hit a home run again down there with that restaurant.
Well, y'all are also famous for a place called the Red Bar. Do you ever go there?
Yeah, we actually had a good time at the Red Bar on Friday night. We had a babysitter, so we spent a lot of time down there. It was a good crowd, and turned the corner and saw one of my good childhood buddies from Union Springs, the great Al Aronson.
Oh, gosh. Well, that was great.
Was in there with Jamie Williams. Jamie Williams was from Union Springs.
The one that played, walked on at Auburn. Yeah.
Walked on at Auburn, made Auburn's football team, and was a really good special teams player. And then one day, I was telling the story to my wife and one of her friends. They were in practice, and he went to tackle Stephen Davis, who was Auburn's great running back, ended up playing in the pros for 11 years, and tackled Stephen Davis one day in practice and broke his neck and never could play again.
Oh me.
Oh,
I never did know that. But he still carries that orange and blue proudly, though, I'm sure.
You know who did the same thing? He didn't break his neck, but walked on and earned a letter and played and stayed 4 years was Kevin Flowers at Charles Henderson.
Yeah, that's right.
He was the twin
Yeah, that's
of
right.
Kevin and Devin. Devin played at Alabama State, started as a cornerback.
Yeah.
But I wonder how Kevin and Devin are doing.
Devin was probably all conference at Alabama State, but yeah, Kevin. Doorbell's teams. I'll never forget it. We're number 79. Somehow Dad got me in the press box at Legion Field with a camera, and I was a journalist, make-believe journalist a few times.
Yep, I like that. I did that a few times.
Yeah,
I would
right.
go cover a couple of those.
You're actually a real journalist. I didn't write any actual articles.
I will tell you this,
Pretended to be one.
that I went out to the middle of the field with Terry Bradshaw, Terry Bowden, and then for the Alabama-Auburn game. I actually walked out to the middle
I
of
did
the
the
field.
exact same thing at the Alabama-FSU game in 2007. I'm going to tell you this. I can tell the true story now. Saban's first year when Saban played Bobby Bowden in Jacksonville, Florida, I acted like a journalist from the weekly paper, the Montgomery Independent. Went down there, partied hard before the game with all my buddies in one of those outdoor cabooses or trains. Got a camera, and they went out there, and sometimes they let the camera people out there, and I think it was me and one other guy. We just walked out there with the referees, and there I was with this power buzz taking pictures at midfield on national television.
Yeah, well, that's where it works sometimes. Mike, Cristobal is coming back to Miami. He'll make a noise, don't you think he will?
Yeah, I think he'll rally the alumni base and former great players, and he's a guy that I think can win there. I would hope. They're mentioning that some billionaire is talking about building a on-campus stadium, and I think that would be a game changer.
It would be huge. It would be huge, no question about it. Boy, that.
He'll make $8 million a year. Of course,
bless his heart, he makes $8 million a year.
Oregon job is now open, and people mentioned that with Chip Kelly be willing to leave UCLA and go back to Oregon. So,
right, is that his place of where he went to?
I don't think.
Well, that's where Chip Kelly had his great success when he first started as a head coach.
I think he might have UCLA turn the corner now, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he left and ended up taking a job with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well,
Tell you what, I've seen a lot of football in my life. I've never seen a guy throw 3 passes win a football game. I was pretty incredible what Mac Jones and the Patriots did last night.
Boy, they really ran the ball well, didn't they? And
the wind was 25 to 35 mile per hour winds throughout the game. Gusts up 55 to 65 with snow flurries. And Bill Belichick just decided he was just not going to throw the ball. And found a way defensively, and Damian Harris, the former Alabama great running back, had a 65-yard touchdown run, ran for 111 yards.
Boy, he had a great. I didn't realize he was so fast.
Patriots from now on to 8 in a row, right?
7.
7 in a row. Wow.
Michael, did you realize how fast he was? I did not know he had that kind of speed. Damian Harris.
Some runs like that at Alabama his junior and senior year. Some runs, long runs like that. He definitely, a lot faster than people think. But always seemed like a great kid when he was at Alabama. Hey, watching pro football is just great if you're an Alabama fan, because man, there's just so many guys on so many teams.
Yeah. Well, I'm still tickled to see Cristobal come back. Like you said, he when he was there, they won 2 national championships. There's going to be a real positive look at Miami football probably for a long time now, because they've got a real man. When you said this, a real man.
I don't know how great a coach he is, but I think he is a great recruiter, and he will get all those players from South Miami that are in Miami and South Florida that are going to other schools, he might keep some of those. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Miami's back in a year or two.
He played at Miami and was part of the 89 and 91 titles, winning teams. And
you know who he played against? Alabama in the Sugar Bowl when after Alabama lost the Iron Bowl to Auburn. First game ever played in Auburn.
Yeah.
That team was undefeated, remember, and then
right,
they lost.
yeah.
But they still
In
tied
89.
for the SEC championship and went to the Sugar Bowl, and they played Miami and Mario Cristobal.
Yeah. You know, he was a graduate assistant under Butch Davis. You know, Mike, I'm going to see if you can do this. Name me the three great quarterbacks that played for Miami. Or you can probably name more than three.
I mean, you had
Testaverde, Vinny, I love to say this, Vinny Testaverde.
Well, there was one before him.
It started with Bernie Kosar, Jim Kelly, Vinny Testaverde, Steve Walsh. I mean, a lot of people said Gino Toretto because he won the Heisman.
Yeah, oh yeah, he played. He was a great quarterback in Miami.
In college, he would have been.
Yeah, but now
Then Alabama exposed him in the national championship game. I mean, there was a few more later that were really good.
And you know, it had a lot of Alabama flavor because he's the one that started their run.
Snellenberger.
Yeah, Snellenberger. Of course, Snellenberger Coach Bryant at Alabama. I think Snellenberger played for him in Kentucky.
Yep.
And
Snellenberger won a national championship. Jimmy Johnson won a national championship. Vince Erickson won a national championship. They all won national championships.
You know, when I see
one more guy won the national championship. They called on your. I understand he used to call your show, or y'all would call him the Miami coach.
Oh yeah. No question about it.
The last one that won a national championship at Miami. I can't remember his name.
Come on, Larry Coker?
Yeah.
Yeah, Coker, yeah. Coach, that was
Bud's friend?
Bud's buddy.
Well, he got a small college job opening it's about 30 miles from Troy. Enterprise coach Rick Darlington returning to Florida, so the Enterprise High School Wildcats job will be open.
Oh, the high school job?
Yeah.
He did a good job.
Well, let me tell you this. I saw a guy yesterday that was hoping that would happen.
Really?
Yeah, but they just started, you know, he thought they would be better off with a younger coach. That's what I was told.
Hold on, we'll sneeze.
And Darlington went 8-4 last year. Got beat in the second round of the playoffs in Enterprise last year.
By Auburn, didn't they? A very good Auburn team.
Yeah, no question about it. But, you know, these guys always come, go back and stand on their own feet about these things, and he was ready to go.
I wonder if those
won 234 games as a head coach in Florida before he took the Enterprise job.
Yeah, I know it. He ran the Notre Dame box, something very unusual at any school, but last school I remember running it well with Enterprise. With
230, that's a lot of wins. You know how many wins Nick Saban has now?
What,
260.
Mike was almost right. 273, I think I read. So if he can get 2 more wins, that would give him the 275. That would put him really 2.5 seasons from getting the 300.
You know, a good buddy of mine, he coaches over in Georgia now, over at Moultrie, Georgia, with and is long-time assistant coach under at Enterprise. And then, like I said, he is double dipping, you know, retiring and going over to Georgia to coach. And he would be Michael. He played on the national championship team at Troy, and we had several Enterprise boys playing back then. I'm gonna name them. You know, there were.
Man, I bet Troy has had
There were 4 or 5, you know, starting with Tucker and
30 great Enterprise players through the years.
Oh, they really did. They really did. But
I remember Tim Tucker, the great linebacker, when Coach Bradshaw was a coach.
Oh yeah. I tell
he
you
played
what,
in the Blue-Gray game. As you know, Troy was Division II back then. That was a big deal to get picked for the Blue-Gray game.
It sure was. And I can't believe you can remember all that stuff.
I mean, I would imagine Enterprise being a 7A school, that job pays way over $100,000 a year.
Oh yeah, it does. It does. There's no question.
You know how I remember going to that Blue-Gray game because I went to it. You know who I went to it with? With Coach Bradshaw, Charles, and myself to go see Tim Tucker play in the Blue-Gray game.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you all a little story, if I can explain it right. When I was a youngster growing up, I didn't have money to buy a ticket to the Blue-Gray game. Well, I went to Montgomery anyway, me and Jimmy Shirley, and Jimmy didn't even have his license, and we went on the old yellow, beautiful old yellow and black Mercury. And me and Jack Mosley and there was 2 or 3 of us. And when we got there, we had no tickets.
This on Christmas Day?
On Christmas Day. I think it was on Christmas Day. I can't remember the actual date or anything, but we didn't have any tickets. So I said, there's the Troy band, the high school band went to the Blue-Gray game every year. And they were there. So the only thing we thought that we could possibly get into the stadium was just follow the band. So when the band walked in, let me get my uniform. We got us a little old band, and we got right behind them. The four of us, they say,
I bet y'all walked
and we walked in that stadium untouched.
I'm glad y'all did.
And saw the Blue-Gray game.
I'm going to tell you, they didn't care because they just wanted fannies in the bleachers, probably.
And of course, we got a call into Johnny Williams this morning, and we look forward to talking to him.
Was the game on TV back then? I guess it was.
Yeah, yes, it was. No, I doubt it. Not many. It
used to be on Ms. Lou. Remember the network Ms. Lou? It was a syndicated or small outfit. But we lived in Opelika when I was about 9 years old. Dad loaded up the car and all the boys went to the Blue-Gray game, and we made signs. Mom made signs on posters. Something about we love Santa and the bear or something. And we just, Mom said that we were on TV about 10 times with our little signs she had made.
That was great. That was great.
On Ms. Lou TV network.
Well, we're going to put Mike on hold, and we're going to see if we can catch Johnny Williams this morning. And
probably need to go to commercial and try.
Well, it might be there you got Mike back on, and we'll take a short break and be right back to today in LA.
If you've had an accident or just want a new look for your vehicle, come see us at Troy Paint and Body, where we do it right the first time. Our staff has more than 100 years combined experience and can handle repairs and paint work on any make or model. We also offer a lifetime guarantee as long as you own your vehicle. Our 24-hour towing service means we're here when you need us. Troy Paint and Body, where we may meet by accident, but you'll be glad we did. So come see us at Troy Paint and Body, located on South Brundage Street in Troy beside the post office.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you were out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Yeah.
He needs to give us a signal.
All right, there we go. Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about the Heisman Trophy this weekend, and our guy is there and waiting for it. Bryce Young looks to be the winner if something crazy doesn't happen.
The great Alabama quarterback in my lifetime, Dad, your lifetime, Bryce, your lifetime. It looks like Alabama's finally going to have a quarterback win the Heisman.
That's right. You know, Namath didn't win it. Stabler didn't win it.
Auburn's had two.
Scott Hunter didn't win it.
Auburn's had the great Pat Sullivan and the great Cam Newton.
They sure have. And
Alabama, of course, had Tua, Jalen Hurts, Mac Jones, A.J. McCarron, Jay Barker was a finalist for the Heisman. Amazing. All these years, and this guy's going to be the first one ever in his first year starting as quarterback.
Well, you're right. No question about it.
But you're right. You're right that number 31 should have been invited and been a finalist. Will Anderson. Last year, Alabama had 3 of the top 5. What did Mac Jones finish last year?
11th, I want to say.
Number 3.
Who was number 2 last year?
Michael, he wasn't the third man. He wasn't the third man picked, was he?
No, third in the Heisman.
Third in the Heisman.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Devontae was number 1. Was for the Heisman.
Yeah, that's
winner.
right. Okay. I tell you what, you look back.
Was it Oklahoma's quarterback? Who was it?
No, not this.
It wasn't Florida's quarterback.
It wasn't Trask. Yeah, who was second last year? I don't know. I have to look that up. That's interesting.
Well, Alabama had 3 of the top 5 last year, and number 1 and 3. I thought Alabama might have number 1 and 3 again with Will Anderson, or maybe number 1 and 2. But if
Najee Harris was what was he?
5, 5th.
Yeah. But all of this can change, though. I mean, it's not a done deal until the drawing, is it?
There was some guy named Trevor Lawrence. You remember him?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You know, people have just forgot about him, haven't they? Oh man. Of course, Montgomery, the city of Montgomery, is bracing itself for a big football game between Ball State and Georgia State. They've already got a prediction on it. Georgia State to win that game 27-21. But looking at the Auburn and Alabama picture, you've got Auburn going to the Birmingham Bowl, going to play in the new stadium, Bryce. What you think about that?
I think if you got a nice new stadium, show it off any chance you get. So that's a good chance. They showed it off at the high school playoffs, so they're getting good use out of it.
Well, I'll tell you this: they get great exposure. Great exposure. Mike, I want to mention this. They start at 11 o'clock on ESPN on the 28th, the 28th of December, at Protective Life Stadium.
I tell you what, if I was an Auburn fan, I'd be kind of a little scared of that matchup. I mean, Auburn starts as a 3-point favorite, but Houston's not a bad team.
Yeah.
Won 11 games. Have some athletes. I think Auburn should be able to, offensive line, defensive line should be able to dictate, kind of what they want to do. But wouldn't be shocked also if Houston won the game.
Auburn's quarterback Finley hurt his ankle in the Iron Bowl, so surely he'll have enough time to be ready for that game, but maybe not.
Houston is a 3-point favorite. They're predicted to win the game 24-21. So that'll tell you.
I saw Auburn as the favorite.
No, Houston it might be the favorite, but the prediction in the advertiser had Houston 24, Auburn 21.
Well, that predictor doesn't always
I'll tell you what, man, I would hate to be Brian Harsin and lose your last 5 games at Auburn as a head coach going into the offseason.
Is that what it would be? They haven't lost 5 in a row, have they?
If they lose to Houston, they will.
If they lose to Houston, it'll be 5 in a row.
Boy, oh boy.
Well, let's think about it.
At one time this year, Auburn was 6-2. I think ranked 12th in the country.
Yeah, and I said they controlled their own destiny and win a national championship, which they probably did.
Houston has a junior.
They run off 4 straight losses, all of them which they led, most by double digits, including Alabama.
Mississippi State 28-3, and they lost.
South Carolina, they're up and lose. Boy, that was a tough one. Auburn shouldn't have lost to South Carolina. I don't care.
This quarterback that everybody's talking about for Houston is named Clayton Tune. Had an impressive record. He was 17th in the country with 3,263 passing yards, and he completed 68.5% of his passes, and he's pretty good quarterback. He said.
Of course, I mean Houston's about to join the Big 12. Cincinnati's joining the Big 12 soon. So I mean, all these guys are going to be not the best of the non-Power 5, so they're all going to be Power 5 programs coming up soon.
All right, we haven't heard the rumor, and it was a rumor now, I'm telling you, and it was supposed to be a big rumor that Tank Bigsby was going to enter the portal. Have y'all heard that?
No, I heard it from the guy sitting right to my right. I said, ugh.
Surely that can't be true, can it?
I wish he could play in the playoffs. Let's transfer right now and let's put him in a Crimson jersey against Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'll be interested. I heard Coach Summerall's press conference yesterday, and I was really impressed. I mean, he's a fiery guy. I mean, I can understand when people say they want to run through a brick wall. He acts like that. He's going to try to. The majority of his team is going to be the guys that are on the roster. Yeah. But I guess that doesn't mean that he won't try to go out and get about 10 transfers and 5 junior college guys. Because I mean, you only got 5 guys in this signing class.
Mike, you know who might be a candidate is our guy at Middle Tennessee.
Tony Franklin?
Yeah, would you think Tony Franklin would move back over to Troy?
I don't know. That's the biggest hire he'll make for sure as offensive coordinator. Troy has struggled so much last couple of years on offense. First year they were great under Chip Lindsey. Defensively they struggled, but I don't know. It all comes down to quarterback, man. Troy just hadn't had a quarterback since Caleb Barker. And I would love to see a guy that can run and throw. Overbrooks.
Yeah, we ruined Caleb. I'm thinking about Caleb Barker. We ruined him. He got hurt, but he was the second fastest man on the team at quarterback. We might not ever have that again. What?
He had 2 knee injuries. He had 2 knee injuries in hospital when he played in Pikesville. So he just always had knee injuries his whole career.
But of course, Mike, the one I think.
I mean, defensively, I would imagine we'll be fine. I would imagine. Summerall's probably got those guys ready to go, but offensively, that's going to be the biggest hire for sure. Offensive coordinator.
I wish we had another bazooka from Bazooka?
Bazooka from Paducah?
But yeah, Bazooka from Paducah. He was a great player, and he came out of Kentucky, the state of Kentucky.
Corey Robinson, though. I mean,
I loved old Corey Robinson.
He was not much of a runner.
No, he won that, but he could throw it like nobody. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, he threw for over 13,000 yards. That was by far a Troy record.
Troy has had some great quarterbacks.
Yes, sir. You really did. He was a great one. And
his best game was against UAB that night when he went like 29 for 31, and they beat UAB at Troy that night.
Yeah.
That was an unbelievable performance.
Well, he was a great one, and he will go down as one of the great ones. Of course, the greatest of all of them, ladies and gentlemen, was Charles Sam Bird.
Yep.
The great one
He got it all started.
He sure did. Led Billy Atkins' team to a national championship.
Who did the ball better, Kelvin Simmons or Sam Bird?
Well, I don't know. It'd be hard to say. Sam Bird threw it pretty good. All of them had spin on it. People ask me all the time, well, he's a good quarterback. Well, he's got some spin.
He can spin that
if
ball.
If he doesn't have that spin, he can't throw it.
If you can spin it, you can hear it whistling through the air.
You can.
Hey, talking about Coach Atkins, did y'all watch the documentary on the SEC Network about Hoppy that was on that 57 national championship?
Oh, yeah, Bobby Hoppy, yeah.
Well,
yeah, I heard the story, but I didn't watch it. Was that good?
Where he shot somebody in the room?
Very
was that right?
Interesting. Very well. Bobby Hoppy was a running back for Auburn on the national championship team in 1957. He was a teammate of Billy Atkins, who I think was the captain of that team.
That's right.
Well, Hoppy was a good player on Sugar Jordan's great team that goes undefeated. As it turns out, though, he shot and killed somebody a month before that season started.
Now this something for a fact? This is a fact?
Yeah, the 2-hour documentary.
Yeah. I didn't want to throw it out there if it wasn't true.
I wouldn't make this up. Chattanooga, Tennessee. And so the documentary was about Auburn's 1957 national championship team, but also what happened in this murder, alleged murder. But he was never charged, and the crime was unsolved for 30 years. He graduates, goes on with his life. 30 years later, he had confessed to a preacher in Auburn that he did this. The preacher somehow came forward and said this happened, and they charged Bobby Hoppy with murder when he's 52 years old. Well, he was not convicted. It was a hung jury.
Yeah.
So the documentary was, I'm sure they'll replay it, so it's fascinating. You really don't, he admitted that he shot the guy who was a bootlegger and a bad dude that had dated his sister and apparently abused his sister, so maybe he had it coming. But he said, Bobby Hoppy said it was self-defense.
Yeah.
That bootlegger was getting ready to kill him. So if you get a chance to watch the documentary, be sure to catch it.
Well,
but anyway, what got me started on that was they were showing clips of that 57 team, and then they said, and there's Billy Atkins running in for a touchdown. And I said, hey, that's our Billy Atkins.
I could remember some of these guys that played on that team. Of course, Atkins was one of them, and Bobby Hoppy was the guy you were talking about. And, but some of those great ones that played back in those days, Lawson, I wish I could remember as many of them as I...
His nickname in Auburn was the Chattanooga Choo-Choo.
That's right. Wayne Flint, the famous historian from Auburn, was one of the big people on that documentary. So was David Housel, had talked a lot on it.
There was a
list. Was Housel a bucket of chicken while he was talking?
No, he did a good job.
But I tell you, he's a man though. If you ever want to put your finger on one guy for Auburn, it will be Housel. Housel is the greatest
Auburn
guy.
He's a great writer. He was a long-time sports information director.
You never in your life see a sports information director get the athletic director job.
Yeah, that's right. But he was the number one guy, and still is the number one guy at Auburn. Is Housel, and he came out of another crazy thing is he came out of the same place that Gordo, the same place Larry Blakeney was raised, and both of them came to Auburn.
He used to be Larry Blakeney's offensive lineman when Blakeney was the quarterback at Gordo Hospital.
Yeah.
But Atkins, let's do the math. Mike, you can help me with this. Billy Atkins is a star on the 1957 national championship team at Auburn. In 1968, which is just 11 years later, he leads Troy to the NAIA national championship team. So at the most, he is, 32 when he's the coaching that national. But he came to Troy like 3 seasons earlier, right? Or 66 maybe? Or what year was that? His third year at Troy or second?
Let me tell you, he was 5-5 the first year, and he went 8-2 the second year, then the third year.
So what I'm getting at is he had to have been in his 20s or had just turned 30 when he was hired as Troy's. Can you believe it? He was that good, that young? Yeah. And he played for the Buffalo Bills, I think.
That's right, yeah.
Had a good program.
My mother-in-law reads all of Ace Atkins' novels. Billy Atkins' son's like a well-known author in Oxford, Mississippi.
Really? That's him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's him, yeah. Yeah. It's Ace Atkins, the writer.
He was a walk-on at Auburn. He wore number 99 when he played at Auburn. But he's a big-time author and does a lot of crime books. Is what my mother-in-law said.
Yeah.
He's read a lot of them because my mother-in-law is from Milford, where Billy Atkins is from.
Well, heck, he should have written a story about a book about Bobby Hoppe.
And your mother-in-law lived in the big house. Is that right? What they called it?
Yeah, that's what they called it.
The big house.
Milford, Alabama's a pretty small place.
But you know, of course, I was thinking of some of those great Auburn players.
Yeah,
back
there's
in
I
the
should
day.
name. I mean, there was Zeke Smith, or no, he was
You had
later.
Bob James, didn't you?
Yeah,
No, he
exactly.
was before that. He had just graduated.
But I was just
Bob
thinking of
James
some of the.
Tim James is running for governor again. I just read.
Yeah.
I know Tim. Yeah.
And Bob, he knew how to do it. I tell you, he was a governor twice at two different times.
Big separation.
Only George Wallace can say that he did it. You know.
You know, we are good friends of the James. Here's why. We lived in Opelika, as longtime viewers will know by now. And that's where Bob James had his business, Diversified Products. You know, they made barbells and ping pong tables.
Let me catch you here. And I couldn't ever realize how he got involved. Those weights, they were plastic weights, and they had a man's name on them.
Atlas?
No, what would you say? Ted Williams. Ted Williams was also involved in Diversified Products, and a lot of the things that you bought had Ted Williams' name on it.
So they were kind of his
you know,
name.
The great.
I remember they were big. Everybody, the first weight set I had was some Diversified Products, plastic weight. They had a little concrete inside.
That's what they did. They sort of got. I reckon they got.
Governor James and his brother started that business.
And they must have had a patent or something on that because, you know, it was unusual. Well, the way they built it, the way they, you know, the
big manufacturing.
Sure was.
But so Bob James was a big, prominent person, kind of like Wiley Sanders is to Troy.
Yeah.
Bob James would have been to Opelika.
Yeah, you're right.
We were just, my mom and dad were young and just living in a middle-class family in Windmill Drive, Opelika. Well, Bobby, my little brother, went to school, and him and Patrick James, Governor James' youngest son, were best buddies. They were inseparable, man. I mean, they just, everywhere they went, they were together. Yeah. And so Bobby spent the night at the James house all the time, and Patrick spent the night at our house all the time. And so that's how we got to know Governor James and the Jameses, and so we always supported him in his political career, and I support Tim now.
And Tim actually lives in Greenville, Alabama, and of course, you know, that's where his wife's from, and from Greenville, and also Tim is good buddies with one Will Matthews' brother.
Warren, who's
an attorney, who is a
great guy.
Who's also
he was in my pledge class. Will Matthews is on our show all the time. Has a little brother who's bigger, who's about 6'3". Warren Matthews from Ozark, and Warren is a very sharp lawyer. Yeah. He works in Montgomery.
Yeah, that's right.
In the RSA Tower. But he commutes. He's from Greenville.
A lot of people commute. That's a pretty easy commute to Greenville. Greenville's a great town, the home of a lot of great golfers and beautiful old homes. I could live in Greenville. Greenville's a pretty place.
You know who Warren's best friend is? John Longshore.
Oh, really?
Everybody knows John.
Now we know the rest of the story. And I tell you what, I like John Longshore, and I know him personally. But I like how he commentates. He's a mess, I tell you.
He's always been a mess. Yeah.
Of course, we're having a good time.
He was John Longshore. You know, that you tell one story about one person that leads to another. He was Mike Turk's backup quarterback at Jeff Davis High School.
He couldn't ever play much because Mike Turk was ahead of him.
I'll tell you on the JV flag football team, Sigma News. John Longshore wasn't the quarterback. You know who the quarterback was?
You.
Bill Rice was the quarterback. And
John
John was my receiver, and I threw to John all the time. We had a good little connection.
You're exactly right. We want to take a short break. We'll be right back.
If you've had an accident or just want a new look for your vehicle, come see us at Troy Paint and Body, where we do it right the first time. Our staff has more than 100 years combined experience and can handle repairs and paint work on any make or model. We also offer a lifetime guarantee as long as you own your vehicle. Our 24-hour towing service means we're here when you need us. Troy Paint and Body, where we may meet by accident, but you'll be glad we did. So come see us at Troy Paint and Body, located on South Brundage Street in Troy beside the post office.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
We're back on the air, and I'll talk while Mike is trying to call his good friend Johnny Williams, who's in charge of running the big bowl game in Montgomery, and also was instrumental, I think, in hiring Rich Rodriguez at Jacksonville State. He was a consultant for the, and our monitor's working again, so I can...
That's right. Right now there's no answer at his residence, but we'll get back with him later. He's probably trying to... I'll bring Michael back in here. Mike Amos calling in from one of the prettiest places in the world, Grayton Beach, Florida. And Mike...
the Burlsworth Trophy was given out to the top walk-on football player in the country. Carlton Marshall is one of the finalists. Carlton Marshall, Stetson Bennett, the quarterback of Georgia. These are the top walk-ons at programs in the country. And then Arkansas had a player named Grant Morgan, and the award was given out last night. And Arkansas player Grant Morgan won the Burlsworth Trophy, which is in honor of a former Arkansas player. So kind of no surprise there that Marshall would not get that award.
But he was in the top 5.
He was the one in the top 3.
Oh, really? That was great. Did he go to the banquet and everything?
Yeah, I assume he did.
Well, that was great. That was great.
All the Troy fans out there are hoping Carlton Marshall will play one more year at Troy. I guess he's got to make up his mind if he wants to try to enter the draft or he wants to come back and play a 6th season of college football. So he was a redshirt senior this year. A lot of people say that if Marshall comes back, though, he'll be the all-time leading tackler in college football history.
Isn't that amazing?
So that's something to come back for. But will he come back and play at Troy or one of the big-time Power 5 programs try to get him?
That's right. He could go by way of the portal, what they call it, the portal.
Yeah, transfer portal.
The transfer portal, and of course a lot of people have. And we were joking just a while ago, but I've heard on numerous sources that some of the top running backs in the country are going by way of the portal. I reckon they want to say, hey, I signed with a team that all they want to do is throw the ball, and they want to go somewhere where all they want to do is run the ball.
Alabama's playing Cincinnati in a couple of weeks. Well, Cincinnati's star player, besides their quarterback, is a running back named Jerome Ford. Where did he start his career?
Alabama.
He's a transfer from Alabama.
And is a great running back.
I'll never forget he started against Duke when Alabama played Duke in Atlanta that year. He started the game because I think Alabama had a guy hurt, and he fumbled and really got saved in the doghouse after that, and didn't really play. Transferred out.
Steve, give me a cup of coffee, please. I tell you, I can't. This day is a dreary day right now. It's going to probably be like this most of the day, but.
It looked like a pretty packed house yesterday for Summerall's press conference.
I tell you what, it was so impressive. It was, we had a lot of media there, but it was very impressive, and he was very impressive, and it's got a fabulous family, and he seems to be very, very confident that he can take this Troy program and get it back where we want it. And
Troy opens the season in Oxford, Mississippi, against Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
That will be John Summerall's first game against Lane Kiffin.
Well, I'll tell you the first thing John team is going to do is first play for scrimmage, bang, right in the cheek. They're going to get a 15-yard penalty, and the Ole Miss folks will be scared to death after that.
Of course, Ole Miss will be
look here.
Corral at quarterback. A lot of people think Lane Kiffin will be going to the transfer portal.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I tell you what, even the boss has to bring you coffee sometimes. Either the boss just brought me coffee, and what happened to you, Rice? Did you get any?
I got some. I asked you if you wanted some. You didn't speak up. Too late.
Oh, gosh. But let me just say this. John Summerall is a class act.
Good.
All you got to do is watch. Did you watch the?
No.
All right, it's on your telephone.
It's on TroyTrojans.com, or it's on Facebook on TroyAthletics.com. You can watch the whole interview.
The whole thing.
Hawkins was tremendous as well. Of course, he's always been a great speaker.
Oh, heck, listen, he's as articulate as any person.
Hawkins said he's like, we beat Cincinnati 31-24. Cincinnati can make the playoffs. We can make the playoffs.
Well, let me tell you who was coaching.
Well,
talking about we beat Cincinnati when we were 1AA and they were Division I.
Right.
He's absolutely right. I've said it many times. All you do is you run the table in the Sun Belt and you upset whatever big team you play, outside, like Notre Dame, like Cincinnati did Notre Dame, and you're in the playoffs.
Well, let me tell you this. We beat them one time. We beat them, ladies and gentlemen, and I remember it so well. We had a big tight end, and we threw the ball to that tight end something like 50-something yards in the air. It was what you call a
Joe route?
No, it would be your
a jump ball.
Yeah, jump ball. He went up and got it, and they said that he fell on the that's what they said. He pushed off, or Troy would have beat him one other time
I remember that game.
Yeah,
Troy dominated the line of scrimmage and just ran the ball down Cincinnati's throat.
I can't remember that big tight end, but he was dominant, and he looked like he had won the game until they called the penalty. What?
It wasn't Reggie Dwight.
It was Reggie Dwight. It was Reggie Dwight. Exactly. It was Reggie Dwight.
It was?
Yes, sir. He was a big, and he won that game for us. Guess who was coaching for
Cincinnati?
Cincinnati. Guess who was coaching? One of those games.
Cincinnati's coach was Rick Minter.
Well, all right, but they played again, and we won this. We won this game against Cincinnati. He was from Pebble, Mississippi. Can y'all guess?
Ray Perkins.
Ray Perkins was the coach.
You're thinking about when we beat Arkansas State. Perkins was at Arkansas State.
I thought he was with Cincinnati. Now I was wrong there then. But we beat him twice, I think, when he was at Arkansas State then.
Yeah, he went to Arkansas. I forgot that Perkins.
Troy only played Cincinnati
Perkins went to Arkansas State 1 or 2 years, and then Wimp Sanderson went to some Arkansas school for 1 or 2 or 3.
Arkansas Little Rock.
He was there a couple of years.
Yeah. Well,
Wimp Sanderson was going to the NCAA tournament. I'll never forget. I was watching the game on ESPN, and they were up by 2, and they were playing in the conference tournament when he was at Little Rock, and they inbound the ball 1 second left, and the guy heaved it the whole length of the court and beat Wimp.
oh,
That was the only chance he was going to the NCAA tournament, and we lost. But the guy threw it the length of the court.
Man, that's hard work.
I'll tell
excuse
you
me.
what, Alabama's got a great coach in Nate Oates, man. He's like a young Wimp Sanderson. If you watch him, man, he was intense.
You know,
He gets around, he gets a lot of attacks. I mean, he wears it on his sleeve. He's a fiery guy to watch.
Yeah. I used to go to a lot of Alabama games, and with my dear buddy
Dickie.
Calhoun,
He likes basketball, doesn't he?
with
Dickie?
Dickie Calhoun, and yeah, he loves Alabama basketball, and I'm sure he's keeping up with all this. Of course, he's one of the great lawyers in America. I tell you, Calhoun is known all over the country. Michael, how many times do you reckon you've been to a game with us, and we couldn't get anywhere toward our seat because Calhoun was always being interrupted by the fans. I mean, everybody we passed, he said, "Hey, Calhoun, what's going on? Tell me about this."
Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. Hello.
Good morning.
Hello, this is Sonny Smith.
Oh, man, Coach, it's so good to have you. We were talking basketball, Coach, and ladies and gentlemen, on the air is Sonny Smith, the former Auburn head basketball coach, and Coach, he's writing a book. Coach, tell us about it.
Well, my friend Lou Vickery, a great writer, he's written about 7 books, decided to write a book about me, and it's more so kind of a motivational book for young coaches, young kids, and it tells a little bit about my life, and it's been accepted pretty well around the country, and so I wanted to call you and let you know about it, and we're kind of excited because first 2 or 3 times we went, we've been able to sell out, so it's been kind of a good thing. It wasn't something I wanted to do, but Lou Vickery talked me into it, and I'm glad that he did.
Well, Coach, ladies and gentlemen, this guy coached Charles Barkley in college, and we got him on our show. And Coach, what I liked about your life, Coach, and if you don't mind going that far back, I mean, you were born in a country town of Tennessee, isn't that right?
Oh, yeah. It doesn't get any smaller than Roan Mountain.
Roan Mountain.
You can't find it on the map.
You got to want it.
There was a flood, and it didn't have a town after the flood one time, and it was just a creek that overflowed.
From downtown Roan Mountain, Georgia, or Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Right.
I'm a Tennessee people. We're right on the North Carolina border, and it's in the East Tennessee part of Tennessee, right on the tip going into North Carolina. I didn't know whether I lived in North Carolina or Tennessee for years.
Well, Coach, I've got you for the next 30 minutes, I hope. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a ball with Sonny Smith, and you're quite familiar with Sonny
I'm a
Smith.
big fan of Coach Smith, and man, I've been excited hearing from Coach Vickery about this book, and it's going to be a great Christmas present for Auburn fans or anybody that wants to be inspired. Get this book. Yeah. What's the name of the book, Coach Smith?
The Mind Game. It's kind of a motivational type book. I'll kind of objected to having a book totally written about me, but we combined a lot of different things, and we think it's a book that's good for young coaches, young athletes. That there's a lot of motivational stuff in it, and we started off with talking about
Now, Coach,
that's kind of the way the book has gone, and it's done very well. And I was really surprised. I'm really happy about it because I think it's good for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Coach, let me. I'm a former journalist, and one question pops to my head. Looking back at your life, was there one break that you say changed my life, and what would that have been?
Well, I was working in Coach Vic Bubas's camp at Duke University. He was the head coach at Duke for a number of years. Very, very successful man. Ended up being the commissioner of the Sun Belt Conference at one time years ago. And I was working in his camp, and I got a chance to speak at the Virginia State basketball clinic, and he was the main speaker. And he told me, if you'll come and work in my camp, I will get you into college. And his two assistants were Hubie Brown and oh my goodness, the other guy escapes me, but he coached the Detroit Pistons forever. They were the two assistants, and he had gotten them jobs. And he told me, if you'll come and work in my camp, I will get you a job in college. And so I worked in his camp for about 3 years, and then all of a sudden I went into his office and I said, Coach, you said you're going to help me get in college. He said, well, you haven't asked. And he reached in his desk and he got a piece of paper out, and he said, call this number. And I called the number, and it was a coach at William and Mary.
Oh, man.
And Hubie Brown, the coach, the assistant at William and Mary, was coming to Duke as an assistant. You all know the name Hubie Brown.
Oh, yeah, one of the long-time coaches of all time.
He was leaving there, and I called the number, and the guy hired me on the spot, and it was all because of Vic Bubas. He was just a great guy. There was 3 guys that worked for him, every one of them that he told that ended up in head coach's job. One at Mary State, and one at Presbyterian College or University, whichever it is. And he was just that kind of guy, and it certainly helped me. I was coaching at a high school in Virginia.
Okay.
And it was the day that school started, and he offered me the job, and I walked into the principal's office. I said, I've been offered a college job, but school's starting today. I didn't know if you'd let me go or not. He said, yes. Anybody that wants to move up like that, I'll let go. He let me go, and that team won the state championship. Radford, Virginia was the name of the town.
All right, let me just start over a little bit, Sonny. Of course, you grew up in Rome, Mountain, Georgia.
Rome, very small town.
Yeah, and then you played.
You played college ball at Milligan.
Milligan, yes.
Where's Milligan located?
It was Milligan College back in the day, and it's in Johnson City, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Same town as East Tennessee State.
Yeah.
We were basically all in the same league back in those days, but East Tennessee State has outgrown Milligan a little bit, so it's a different situation.
You can probably even date back a little bit to John Archer, the great coach at Troy for so many years, and they played each other. A lot of those schools played each other. Did you ever come to Troy to play?
No, I've been to Troy to do television games and back in the day, but never played Troy. I had a lot of connection with Troy. I did TV games there back in the old home team sports days back. I got a number of Troy. It was a time that they were scoring so many points a game. I can't remember exactly.
258.
It's close to 100 points a game.
Hey, Coach.
When Don Maestri was the head coach.
Don Maestri, what a great guy, what a great coach he was. Yeah, I remember Don very well.
And they're going to bring that team back that scored 258 points in one game. They beat the DeVry Institute of Atlanta 258 to 147. Can you believe that? They made 51 three-pointers. I mean, Sonny, Andrew Jackson.
The game away, Don did back in the day.
You know who officiated? Andrew Zeski. Andrew Zeski. That.
Yes. Oh yeah, I know him well. Yeah.
Well, he was the official.
Named Paul, I believe.
That's right. Paul Andrzejewski was one of the officials in that game.
How about that?
Well, Coach, I have to tell you, I lived in Birmingham for 17 years, and I absolutely loved your show with Wimp. The Sonny and Wimp show is one of my favorites.
Mine too.
How many years were y'all on the air up in Birmingham?
I think we did it about 8 years. We would have probably got much longer, but he and I agreed when we took the radio show that we wouldn't sell advertising, and we got by for 8 years without it, and then the guy said to us, "You're going to say you're going to have to sell advertising." Well, Wimp said, "I ain't selling," and I said he couldn't sell. And I said, "I'm not either." And that guy said, "Well, I'm firing you." And we did that show for about 8 years, and it was a lot of fun. We reached out to a lot of people and had a lot of fun telling jokes and stories, and it was fun for me. It really was.
No question about it. Well, let me ask this. Of course, Sonny Smith, ladies and gentlemen, the former Auburn coach, and Coach.
Actually, current play-by-play announcer on radio. You do a great job, Coach.
That's right.
Thank you very much. I enjoy doing it.
I tell you what, you're the same way. I've met you on numerous occasions when you were doing games down here for Troy, in the different leagues that Troy's been in. But a lot of people don't realize this. The rivalries and what was the heyday of Auburn and heyday of Alabama basketball?
Well, for us, it was during the early 80s, from like 81 to 87 through there. We were pretty good for about 5 or 6 years, and we went to the NCAA in Final 16 a couple of times in that period of time right there. I think I left there sometime slightly after that and went to VCU.
Well, I tell you what, those games with Alabama back then were just...
And the whole SEC was full of great characters like Coach Smith and Wimp and Dale Brown, and it's just...
yeah. You could write a book on that.
Yeah, you could write a follow-up book.
Yeah, Steve Durham at Georgia.
Yeah, that's right.
He was a character. He really was. Yeah, people would look forward back in the day to the SEC Press Day, Media Day, because they had so many crazy coaches, and they couldn't wait to hear what we were going to say about one another. And it was that was a good time in SEC basketball, which is greater now than it was then, but still.
It doesn't. I tell you what, it doesn't have the flair though.
I liked it back then more because the players stayed with you longer, and you got to know the players over 3 or 4 years. Now you have so many that are transfers or they're 1 or 2 done. But like Charles Barkley, would he have lasted 3 years at Auburn today?
I'm sorry. Would he have stayed?
Yeah.
No. Not the amount of money that they pay in the pros today. It would have been very difficult for any player of his caliber and his talent to stay.
Yeah.
It started right about that then, people leaving early.
Yeah.
And the money is so big, you cannot hold it against them. I went in when Charles was offered a contract in his junior year. I said, "Charles, you need to stay. You'll make a little more money." He said, "Coach, ain't much more money than they're offering me." I said, "Well, you need to go then." And he went, and you saw what kind of career he had.
But and you had all those great players, and Wimp had all those great Birmingham players. You didn't have much of a chance because he was getting all the Birmingham players. Is that right?
Well, that's true.
Barkley's from Leeds.
Oh, I know it, but I mean,
from there is a really good player too, and we got the Player of the Year there one year, and I can't even think his name. That's how old I am.
Well, we're bad about jumping around on our show.
Went down to Brantley. Got a couple good guys. We're live in Brantley, Alabama today on Troy Cable. So,
boy, did I get a good one there.
Tell us about the person.
Person, the rifleman.
thing about recruiting Chuck. Chuck was going to go to Tennessee. I mean, he had that was a place that he'd always wanted to go for some reason.
And you know, the player there with those two guys, those two great players he had too.
Ernie and Bernie.
Ernie and Bernie.
He was after that.
He was going to go to Tennessee, and I took Pat Dye down there because his mother was a great football fan. And Pat Dye went down there and talked to his mother, and the next day Chuck was coming to Auburn, and y'all remember how well he did here.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's a great story right there. So Pat Dye helped you recruit you?
Pat Dye helped me get two players that we went to 5 straight NCAAs, and the two of the players probably as much to do with that. He helped me recruit. One was Gerald White. He was from the same high school that Pat was from in Augusta, Georgia.
Yeah.
And then if I hadn't taken Pat to talk to Chuck's mother, we probably would have never got him. Tennessee was leading all the way.
Yeah.
And now the reason for that is Tennessee was winning and we weren't.
But you know what? He didn't really have a successful career, did he? White, Chuck White.
Gerald White?
Chuck Person?
Yeah, no, Person had a great.
You're talking about the White.
The guy that.
Gerald White.
Yeah, I've never heard of Gerald White.
I got him a job in Europe, but he didn't. He ended up being a coach. He was assistant coach. I don't know if the name Mac McCarthy jumps out at you guys now, but he's assistant at all.
The head coach used to be the head coach at Chattanooga.
Yeah, well, Gerald worked for him at Chattanooga and also at VCU, and Gerald was more into coaching than he was playing anyhow, and he had a very successful career as a coach.
I tell you what, we all such huge rivals.
At VCU, Coach Smith, you went 24-9 one year. That was a pretty good year.
Well, I think we only lost 2 games of any significance, and both of them were on last-second shots. I had a team. The team was so good that I played 2 teams. One team for 5 minutes and another team for the next 5.
Oh, God.
It's the first time I'd ever tried that. I'd seen it done before. I think Don Messer might have done something like that at Troy one time.
Yeah.
Where he played 2 teams. And I did that, and it worked out really well. And you don't do that type of thing anymore. The 3-point shot makes it the best 3-point shooters play.
Yeah. Of course, you know, the 3-point shot, that opened up a can of worms. You know, how you would defend you were at one time, people let a team have that shot because it was way too far to shoot it.
Yeah, no.
You're exactly right. They did let them shoot it. Well, you can't let them shoot it now.
Nope.
Yeah.
We got Auburn's got this one kid right now. The minute he comes across midcourt, he's a weapon. In fact, he's better from long distance than he is from in closer.
Yeah.
And you have to extend your defense these days so much.
Yeah. You know, Troy, used to shoot, 3-pointers like very few colleges in the country. They really were great 3-point shooters. Now, last game they played against this team from Louisiana, they were 2 out of 18 from 3.
Live by the 3, die by the 3.
So they don't shoot the 3 very well anymore.
Yeah, the game has completely changed. Coach Smith could tell us about that. I mean, I can remember, I'm an Alabama fan and went to University of Alabama and watched Barkley and Chuck Person play. But I remember all those WIMP teams, they were based around power forwards and throwing the ball inside, and you saw guys that would hit these 8-foot turnaround jump shots. You don't see that anymore. That was, and then you had a point guard that could get it to that guy.
Well, that's the key to those teams, were that point guard with Amos Wadley and all those guys. Isn't that right, Coach?
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
Amos Wadley was a great player, and Wimp was able to get the best players in Birmingham. And we were only able to do that a couple of times. And I knew if we could ever get into the recruiting in Birmingham that we'd become a better player. And we got Jeff Moore out of there, and he was really a very, very good player. Should have been a pro, but he got hurt. One of the most injuries you could ever
Coach, the best player.
Totally different.
The best player to me back then, Coach, was Mule King. Oh, Mule King, and did you think he was a great one?
Well.
He was a great one, wasn't he?
Oh my goodness, yeah. They had Douglas. What's the other name?
Leon Douglas.
Leon Douglas was another one. He and Mule King together were as good as anybody in the league.
They were. Then those Vanderbilt.
When you were at Auburn, did y'all ever even play UAB when Bartow was there?
The first, we started playing UAB first before anybody did. You know, Gene needed to have some schools with a name to play him when he took over that job. And we played the first game in Birmingham prior to the Auburn Alabama football game, I believe. I believe it was the first one. And we sold the Civic Center out. I can't remember the exact attendance. It might have been either 13 or 16,000, and we sold it out on the night for the football game.
Oh boy, that was something. Coach, you know, everybody, when they think of you and think of Wimp and everything, the tremendous rivalry in basketball. To me, that was basketball at its very best, and like you said, they were filling gyms up. It's not quite the same, Coach.
Well, there's so many great basketball programs now, and back in the day, you didn't have too many great teams in the state, and at one time there, we had 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
Troy, Auburn, Alabama, South Alabama got real good, and there's others.
UAB.
And so basketball took a turn there to where everybody was good in basketball at one time.
Yeah. Bosness, Spears, and Ford. You remember those guys, the F troop?
You know what, though, is I think what happened, Coach Smith, is something happened, but a lot of the great players in the state of Alabama started going to other states and playing basketball was part of it, it seems like to me.
Well, that's because people were, the thing that they were using back in the day is you don't want to go to Auburn or in Alabama, their football schools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, that type of thing was an ongoing type of thing that they used in recruiting. You don't want to go there. Basketball is not big. You know, they don't draw big, and all that seemed to change. We started getting really good players. Crowds started coming and made recruiting a lot better. When I took the job at Auburn, my goal was to even up the state in recruiting with Alabama and then UAB. And we were able to do that during that 5 or 6 year period there.
Then, of course, where
when you were there, you also had Joe Champion as the women's coach, and Auburn's women's program was phenomenal when you were the head men's coach, too.
They really, I hired Joe Champion. A lot of people say that, but I did. They did not have an athletic director for women. They had a woman that worked in the PE department. She told me 2 or 3 names she wanted me to go look at and talk to. So I went to New York City to speak at an alumni meeting there, and Joe was there. And I talked to her. I went back and told him, I said, I think you need to hire this guy. He was coaching in the Army at the time, I believe. And he ended up doing a tremendous job with women's basketball. You know, back in those days, you couldn't draw flies for the women's games. Mm-hmm. But now, after Joe did what he did, and other coaches too, women's basketball became a big thing.
It sure was. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to one of the all-time.
Who hired you at Auburn? Was it Pat Dye?
Sonny Smith.
No. I got a call. I was coaching at East Tennessee State, and we just won the Ohio Valley Conference Championship. And I had everybody returning. I got this phone call from a doctor, and he said, he told me his name, and he said, we'd like you to coach at Auburn. I said, well, I'm getting ready to sign another contract. He said, well, just come and talk to us.
coming out of Brantley, you talk about those persons, you know, and both of them were very good players. In fact, the younger brother could shoot it as well as anybody in the country, couldn't he?
Without a doubt. Actually,
we're talking about Leslie Person.
Wesley, yeah, Leslie was a great shooter, and Chuck was also, and Chuck was on a team where the ball had to be shared just a little bit more. You know,
I know.
We had some awfully good players. Barkley
Had a guy named Chris Morris.
Yeah, Chris Morris. Chris Morris had to have the ball. So we had to share the ball a little bit more.
I didn't know you had to do that.
When you got a player like Puck, you know, averaging like 20 points a game, when he's capable of 30, and Barkley, who's capable of 30, and Chris Morris, who's a lot of times capable of 30, you had to keep the ball shared. And I had Frank Ford on the team, and he was the #1 player in the state of Florida. And there's another example of football. When Frank Ford came to Auburn, he was a guard on the team. He recruited a running back for Pat Dye named Brent Fullwood.
Oh boy,
the mind of any of y'all. He was really, really good. He made it in the NFL.
Yeah. He was great.
We helped each other recruit back in the day.
Yeah.
And Pat helped me a lot with Gerald White and Chuck Person.
And old Bud Casey, my old buddy, he helped out son, didn't he?
Oh, Lord, there's not a better guy around than Bud was.
I tell you, I miss him to this day. And of course, you know, he and I had a show together for a long time, the Bud and Amos show. Let me ask you.
I remember that.
That's right.
That.
And we had fun. We had a good time talking sports.
Now I remember that show.
Yeah. Well, Coach.
Coach, I know you're an avid tennis player. I know when I used to listen to you on the air in Birmingham, you talk about tennis all the time. Do you still play?
Yeah, I can't play dead in the Cowboy show, but I play 3 times a week. They love to see me coming because they know they're going to win.
Something I think the people would love to hear about you and Wimp, your relationship with Wimp. Were y'all good friends when you coached?
Wimp was afraid of letting people know that for a long time because he's from Alabama and he knew the Alabama-Auburn rivalry.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to let people know, but we were really good friends when he was assistant.
Yeah.
He was assistant at Alabama, and I was assistant at Virginia Tech. And we ended up recruiting the same player a couple of times, and we'd always be at all the big tournaments. And we got to be friends back before I ever came to Alabama. I was on Virginia Tech. That's when we basically got to be good friends. And he didn't want anybody to know he liked somebody from Auburn.
When what was it, Mike, that came out with the Plaid Palace? They call it the Plaid Palace, and they came out with all that, and that was a heyday, and he had a great player, McDowell, the guy from Mississippi.
Jerry
McKee. Coach, you remember if McKee had... Coach, you remember he had McKee fixed to play his senior year, and McKee left and went in the draft, or Alabama might have won a national championship if McKee had been there.
I'll tell you what I remember, though, is...
I thought that, too.
Alabama had... Wimp got Bobby Lee Hurt and Enos Watley, and that was a coup. All Alabama fans said, we're going to make the Final Four. And then old Coach Sonny Smith goes and gets somebody named Charles Barkley, and nobody even really paid much attention to Charles Barkley.
Coach,
and he's only one of the best basketball players to ever play the game in the world.
Coach, before you go up there, tell us about your relationship with Charles Barkley and what a great person he is.
It was difficult for a long time. He was he didn't want to really play hard, you know. He wanted to play hard in the game, but he didn't practice. We battled for a year, and he got bought into the program. I wasn't going to be able to keep him because he was so good. If we had been able to
unbelievable.
And Morris and Frank Ford all on
God.
the same team.
Oh, man. What a game team that would have been.
Beat anybody. Well, I think that year, I think we went to the Final Eight, I believe. Yeah.
Y'all would have won it all.
We won the whole deal.
And I tell you, to this day, though, Coach, Charles Barkley is, it comes on as sort of a comic, but he's really a great individual. What would you say?
Well, he's filthy rich. He's really smart.
He is a smart man.
Really smart. He's a very giving person, as was Chuck Person. Chuck Person probably built 6 or 7 houses in Brantley.
Wow.
With his money, and bought a bunch of cars for family members, and Charles did exactly the same kind of thing. They're free with their money, and they helped out a lot of different situations. Were big helps for Auburn also. Helped them recruit players. Barkley still does that. Chuck had a run-in with people in Auburn, and he doesn't do it like he used to, but he still loves Auburn.
Yeah. Coach, quickly.
We got the legendary Sonny Smith on promoting the book, Winning the Head Game, the Key to Elite Athletic Status. Of course, Coach, where can people around here get your book?
Amazon, I think, is Blue Victory takes care of that more so than me because I'm so lazy.
Hey, Coach, I want you to send my copy to Post Office Box 527, Troy, Alabama 36081. You said I wanted it in the mail.
3 states. I didn't remember those numbers.
And you know what? I'll tell
anyway.
Of course, Coach. Before we let you go, what do you think about Auburn this year? They're ranked already. They got a lot of great young players. Bruce Pearl.
Well, I'm going to tell you, this team could go a long way. This team is heavily loaded in height. It's heavily loaded in talent. They really, from the standpoint of the bench to the starters,
give us a few more minutes.
As strong as I've seen Auburn in a long time, and
Steve,
Bruce Pearl's just a great coach. I can see this team, if not upset by somebody, going a long way in it this year because they got speed, height, shots. They all extremely well from 3, so they're going to be a good team.
Yeah. Okay, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Coach, we're so excited about your book, and of course, again, if you send it to me at Post Office Box 527, I'll get a bunch of them out for you. And of course, it's so good to have you.
We'll get in touch with Lou Vickery as well.
Well, hey, Lou Vickery and I are so tight, we wouldn't give our mother a book.
Lou's been on the show promoting the book for a while now, so we.
Lou's a good man.
Coach, where do you live now?
I'm so happy you called into the show.
Coach, where do you live now?
I'm glad to do it, and I'm glad you even asked me to be on. Thanks a lot.
We'd love for you to call back any day now. We'd love to continue this conversation. I know we went to different things like we always do, but we enjoyed so much talking to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, fellas.
All right, call us back here. Take care.
Coach. Coach Sonny Smith.
That was very good.
I look forward to reading that book. I should have gotten it already, and what a thrill to have Coach Sonny Smith call in the show.
I bet he had never been interviewed like that in his life.
I thought we did okay.
I did. I know, but it was coming from all different directions.
Well, he's a guy that's been on the radio for years. I mean, 85 years old.
We're still on there.
85 years old, still the color guy for Auburn basketball. I mean, he sounds sharp as can be.
Playing tennis 3 days a week, too.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know he was 85 years old. Wow.
I want to mention this show is brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass. Premier, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody. Have a